Hey, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Not bad. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. And guys, we got the Macronicler on the show from out east in Ontario. And here's his channel, guys. He's at 728. There should be enough people watching this on replay to get him to 1,000 easy. And
Let's do
this
this.
way he could start monetizing his videos. And this way there's no excuse for YouTube to say, well, it's a non-profitable channel. Or they try and make stuff up just to get rid of good channels. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Just to let you know, also, I do post everything on. I do a BitChute now, also that I do use also. So if you want to follow me on YouTube, you can follow me over there also.
Okay, the problem with BitChute, I tried uploading to it today, and like it's very slow. Are you noticing that, or am I just kind of out of the loop?
No. You're right. I mean, when I try to upload on there, I mean, I just mirror everything from BitChute that I put on YouTube, and usually BitChute's about a few hours later than YouTube. So yes, that's what everyone else is experiencing too. But none.
BitTubers has been good for me. BitTubers has been extremely good for me.
No, I've seen that. I mean, you don't have nearly as many followers over on BitTubers as you do on YouTube, and your live stream numbers are what, a third or a half of what they are on YouTube, basically.
Yeah, I remember when I had 11 subscribers on there, and I only have my channel there for 2 weeks total. So the first week I put up a video. I got 128 views with 11 subscribers.
Yeah.
The subscriber to view ratio doesn't make any sense on YouTube. And I don't know if you remember, my channel was stuck on 1,300 for 5 months. 1,300 subscribers for 5 months.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, speaking of even the whole YouTube thing, my channel on BitChute only has 12 subscribers. I have about 15% of the views I do on YouTube over there. So to put it in context, I mean, you are right on that.
Yeah, something's right. Something's wrong. And I've been playing. We're social media. We're social media discussion people, and we see the trends. We see the movements, and people talking and stuff. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Here's the channel here. We're probably gonna get Formafist on after. So we got the Macronicler here. And let's get him up to 1,000 subscribers. Now, I already have somebody already saying that property taxes in Toronto are going up. We've been covering this craziness of property taxes. Do you remember last time you were on the show a whiles back and I said, how are these cities going to flip their deficits if all the middle class and working poor are mass exiting? Who's going to pay these taxes or support the infrastructure?
I mean, you tell me, Mike. I mean, if everyone moves out, yeah, I mean, just math will tell you have a lower tax base to tax on. So what they're doing right now is they're trying to go ahead and compensate for that. I mean, there's really no other way to explain it.
So basically,
but then the problem is, again, it's sort of a catch-22 in that sense. Yes, you increase property taxes, but at the same time, you're going to increase the exodus also. It's going to work both ways, and they just don't realize that.
But then the people that can't buy because it's too expensive and out of reach, they're leaving. But the people that do own, and they've been owners for years and stuff, and they've been good people and stuff, they're getting punished with higher property taxes.
Oh, yeah, and especially the boomers. The boomers are really getting hit with that. Yeah, it's crazy. And honestly, I mean, if you have a mortgage and everything else on top of that, I mean, just candidly looking at it for myself, I mean, I don't know how we've done it for so long, honestly. I mean, it's crazy. It's honestly just crazy when you really when you break it down the numbers and really see it for yourself. It's unbelievable where we've gotten. I mean, with or without even the property tax increase, even per se, but just from living expenses where they are, it's unbelievable right now.
Now, question that I've asked everyone that's been on here the last couple of weeks: could Christmas save the economy?
God, no, 100% no, no way. Not in a million years. Mike, think about it. On the last jobs report, they reported an unemployment spike before Christmas.
That's okay.
Like, put it in context.
Right.
A month before Christmas, you're seeing unemployment spike.
Right.
Anyone who sees that and think retail is going to be through the roof, I'm speechless.
I'm actually correlating now. It's actually hitting me in the brain cells here, what you're saying. So usually around Christmas, they hire more hands to help with the retail. On top of that. So, and they're still letting people go.
And plus, remember, you're not going to fire someone. Usually, if you're going to package someone off, let's say, you're not going to do it over Christmas. You're gonna wait until. I mean, the credit card bills, of course, roll in January, then February, you're still paying them. Usually, it comes to like layoffs. I mean, there's a seasonality aspect to it as well. A company to lay someone off or package them off or whatnot, they would wait well into the new year to do something like this. They wouldn't normally do it a month before Christmas.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
in and of itself is very abnormal.
Okay, so I didn't see that didn't even dawn on me also. So that's a great point because that just flew right over the kook's nest. Because now I'm starting to pick up on now your angle on it is very. I'm looking at the angle where they created X amount of jobs in Canada, okay, during the election period, and they were all public sector, and then now we lose 70 some odd thousand private sector jobs. So how are they going to fund back? To the original question, how are they going to fund the public sector when the private sector is basically on walking the plank right now as we speak?
Well, there's only two ways to do it, Mike: more debt and more taxes, which then just further exacerbates the problem. I mean, it's all governments really know, right?
Well, you know what happened in 1776 when they raised taxes, right?
Go ahead.
Oh, the Boston Tea Party, if you remember.
Exactly.
Right? And they said, we're not paying tax on your tea, go to hell, right? And that sparked a whole constitution, revolution, Bill of Rights, and a forming of a nation.
Yeah, it's all they know, but the masses obviously know something else, right? And if you see what's going on around the world right now, it plays into exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, okay, give us a little bit of update on housing. Okay, you talk about housing here on your channel, which is really good. You talk about cryptos, you talk about repo markets, you talk about hedge funds. You're talking about everything on your channel, which is really good. And let me go to your videos here so you can see all his videos. He's got quite a few videos here. So tell us, in your opinion, if you want to elaborate on your opinion on where housing is going to go in first quarter of 2020, just go ahead and let us know.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I think we're in trouble. I mean, you have to look at it this way. In the private sector, I mean, job growth has been slowing really since the beginning of the year. You're seeing insolvency spike, and insolvencies always lead. And in natural progression of it, I mean, consumer insolvencies lead to car loans and lead to bigger things down the road. I mean, your house, of course, is the last thing you're going to default on because ultimately you have to live somewhere, right? And that's rightfully so the mindset behind that. So not getting too much into the weeds on that, but I'll put it this way. Every single leading indicator I see out there right now tells us it's going to get way worse before it gets better. And there's no way you can have a bad economy generally and a good housing market. It just doesn't work out that way.
Historically, yes.
It's in a more general scale. I mean, obviously, yeah, we're really, really past. I think we're past the point of no return at this point. No matter what happens from here.
So now with them threatening to cut off foreign investing in Canada in real estate, are we too little too late on that?
I think so. I mean, if you look at foreign purchases, I mean, just on a global scale, I mean, you look at foreign purchases of real estate globally, we're way off numbers from 2017 already. So even if you look at that, I mean, it is too little, too late. Absolutely. No, I mean, banning foreign investment, foreign ownership of real estate altogether does create a slippery slope in other areas, in my opinion. But just looking at it on the surface, I mean, foreign purchases of real estate globally is way down from 2017. So, I mean, is it too little, too late? Yeah, they're acting 2 years too late, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because what happened was they actually launched this foreign investing ban in 2018 in New Zealand. They saw a little bit of, now they're in stagnation. So homes aren't selling because the New Zealand proper can't buy them.
Exactly.
Because they're out of reach. And then the homes can't sell because, like I said, the New Zealand. So they're in this period where the owners are not going to sell it for less than what they bought it for, and the people that live in the country don't make enough to buy it. So it did work out in a way where foreign or sales from China went down 88%. So it's been crippling New Zealand right now. So where do you see in first quarter, what is the Bank of Canada going to do? Do you think they're going to continuously lowering rates? Or let's talk dangerous if it's okay. Are they going to go into negative territory? Do you see that? Do you see them doing that to the people? Punishing savers and then rewarding borrowers.
I mean, rates are obviously going to get cut at some point. I mean, that much is pretty much known. I mean, honestly, myself, I thought they were going to go ahead and cut in the fourth quarter this year. I was wrong on that. Shame on me. But anyways, are they going to go to negative territory? Personally, I'm actually kind of hopeful on that front. I mean, if you look at what other central banks are doing lately, I mean, Sweden was actually talking about a couple of weeks ago that even though their economy in Europe has clearly slowed, and Sweden really does lead the rest of Europe, and they've showed a further slowing from there, which should lead through the rest of Europe in a couple of months. I mean, even they're talking about getting out of negative rates now. So, I mean, are they going to go to negative rates? Probably. I don't think so, honestly. They'll probably, when it's all said and done, it's hard to fathom a guess on these things too. They probably will just in fact go to zero at some point, which has stimulative effects in and of itself. I don't think they go negative though. But again, as far as where the bottom goes in this rate cycle, it's way too hard to predict at this point. But my gut says I don't think they're going negative.
Okay.
But again, that's more of a gut feeling on my end. That's just more of a gut feeling.
Yeah, there's parts of Europe right now that are in negative rate territory right now, and basically the savers are being punished, and the borrowers are getting rewarded, and that is a very bad mix of a plan. It's a very bad ingredient. It's a very bad tool that the banks could use.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look at all the riots and protests that are happening in Europe right now because of the house and rent prices. I mean, people
in France, it's France. It's got, in France now, local authorities are doing nothing for people moving into empty homes there. There's empty investor-owned homes that just been sitting there for 5 years empty. People are moving in and getting their driver's license changed over, getting their electricity hooked up there, getting everything, and no one's questioning them. Like, you go get your driver's license updated with your new address. The person doesn't ask you, did you steal this house?
Yeah, and you got a free house. You just move right in, basically, right? I mean,
that's what they're doing, and they're going to the bank and catching up on property taxes too. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean that goes to tell you how fed up people are over there, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, Paris had 107,000 empty homes just in Paris, so it drove up prices on housing, made owners rich on paper overnight. But it turned the city into an empty shell, and they were sick and tired of it.
Absolutely, and really the same things happening globally. To be honest, also, I mean, even look at the rest of Europe for them. I mean, the same thing, same riots and protests are happening. I know for a fact in Germany there've been a couple recently. But yeah, the same anger towards unaffordable home prices for the locals is spreading globally, and there's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's something you've covered obviously in Aussie. I mean, you're probably more the expert than I am on this, but when you look at the news reports and everything that's going on over there, I mean, it's pretty hard not to notice this, right?
Well, no, I was talking to somebody today, some person that's like a well-to-do person that's connected, that knows everything. I go, what do you think of the riots in Chile? And he's like, there's riots in Chile? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad. They're burning places down. They're like, oh, really? I'd never heard of it. I never saw it on the news. I'm like, well, that's the problem. You're watching the news right there. Oh, what do you think of the riots in Argentina? What? They're rioting in Argentina too? Whoa. Is that like Venezuela? No, that's another country. It's about 1,700 miles away, maybe 2,000 miles away. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, yeah. Well, you see what I'm saying? So a lot of people just don't understand what's happening on a mass global scale when it comes to... people think the Hong Kong riots have been over for months.
Yeah, if you follow news from the wrong news sources, I'm like, you're actually not going to know that, right? I mean, yeah, I don't really tell you on that. I mean, if you are, I mean, I mean, your analogy kind of is right on that. I mean, if you are watching the news, they're not going to tell you, right? So,
Well, that's their job is not to tell you, right? So
exactly, 100%.
I'm looking at your videos right here. Canada unemployment explodes. Canadian banks earnings leading the way. So if
Yep.
Canadian banks are, how's the overnight rate in the Canadian banks? Are they getting injections? Are they getting stimulus that we don't know about? Are they coming? Are they balancing? Basically, are the banks balancing at the end of the night before they're over to make sure their overnight rate is set to balance for the next morning?
Well, there's small injections being done right now. I mean, yes, of course, the bank's open. I mean, really, when you really come down to the end of it, as far as earnings more generally, I mean, of course, they weren't good. I did a whole video on that. You can go ahead and watch on there for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, I'm just thinking of this as well too. I mean, if you look at what they're going to do to save this, I mean, will they go into full blown QE? I mean, that's been the playbook globally since really 2008, to be honest, and that's probably where we're headed at some point. I mean,
guys, I left you a link for the Macronical in the comments there, and he basically, Evan is very up to date on what's happening in Canada. So, are you seeing anything? What are your biggest fears for 2020 financially, for whether housing, whether it's the banks? What's your biggest fear for 2020 next year that what should people be looking out for next year?
what you're looking out for? I'd say just watch. If you really want to know what's going on, I'd say just go ahead and watch Toronto condo prices. If I were to really just to be frankly honest, obviously been a lot of speculation in that space and whatnot, and of course now you have a slowing economy to mix into all the other headwinds associated with it. So I'd say just go ahead and watch Toronto condo prices next year. That's really what I've been looking at the last couple of months, and I think you should be too.
Yeah, I have a couple articles open here about Toronto prices and stuff. I am following what's happening, but they're super severely overvalued. I think they're overvalued by roughly 58%. That's just my opinion. Because what you could just buy right across the border for a quarter of the price is just unfathomable. You know, and people are like, but then you're leaving Toronto, Mike. You're going to move to Syracuse or Rochester, New York. Yeah, but you can work at a gas station and pay your mortgage. Then you don't have to be a doctor in Canada, pay half your wages in taxes, and then the other half, you know what I'm saying, right?
No, I understand. I 100% hear you on that.
So
and then of course, they're going to have the double whammy of increased property taxes also on top of that, and the cost of ownership in and of itself will just explode no matter what happens, and which is then it's going to lead to an exodus even more and more and more and more until the end.
I got a very dangerous question to ask you.
Uh-oh.
Abandonment. Okay. I'm looking at abandonment right now in the Vancouver retail sector. Last week, I don't know if you remember watching last week, where I was discussing the guy was paying $53,000 a year in property tax.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, you also mentioned it in Mike of the Night too. Yes, I do remember that.
For that little store. Just one
That's
little
right.
store. Now, Evan, realistically, if the owner can't pay the $53,000 a year in property tax because he can't rent it out, do you realistically see these things just being empty and then just like letting it go because they can't afford to pay the tax, and then the tenant can't afford the rent? So do you just see it like honestly becoming an asset that can't sell, that because no one will buy it when the property tax is that high? Do you see where I'm coming with this?
No, I hear you. And then again, I mean, that's just another headwind to add. I mean, I fully understand what you're saying. I mean, obviously, on top of the property taxes, there's other like macroeconomic factors that are playing into this also. But higher property taxes creating a short sale scenario, absolutely that can happen.
But do you see abandonment? People abandoning properties, because it happened in Detroit when people couldn't afford the property taxes or couldn't get their storefronts rented out. They just left them.
Yeah, I mean, property taxes do go up in 2020. There's always usually a bit of lag when that starts happening as well. So what happened in 2020? I mean, it's probably hard to say 2020, but 2021, I definitely see it as a possibility.
Okay, so you're looking. What I'm saying kind of theoretically makes sense, but it'd have to go forward a little bit more in time for it to
Well,
make sense.
exactly. Yeah, because when something like that, for something like that to happen, there's always usually like a 12 to 24 month lag effect. Is when they actually move, right? So I mean, 2020 they realize it's high, they can't pay it, they try and hang on, and 2021 is when that usually happens. So that's probably what you're discussing. It's probably more of a 2021 event than a 2020 event.
Okay.
But this year they are going to start. But this year they are going to start feeling it absolutely.
Okay. Now, other question. I covered this last week in one of my videos that insurance rates for condo owners are going to go up anywhere from 50 to 300%.
Yeah, I saw that article. That was for Vancouver. That was for Vancouver, right?
That's a big problem. But you know what? You know what Toronto says? Hey, look, Vancouver's doing this. It's working. Let's bring it over here.
Yeah. And another headwind at the worst possible time for the economy. There you go, right? Basically, it's answered your own question right there.
I think we have no windshield on the car right now.
Yeah, no, no windshield on the car in Toronto. It's pretty cold here tonight, so be sure to bundle up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. You're 100% right. I mean, it's another headwind at the worst possible time. I mean, add a 50% increase in someone's property taxes or someone's insurance. So add on to the cost of carry for that property when the economy's starting to go down. and go ahead and tell me where it ends. Like, I mean, just do some people. It's grade 1 math here. Come on.
Yeah, it's like adding more and more fuel to the fire, and it's really. So we got condo insurance going up because the value of the condos have gotten so high that the insurance companies aren't covering their nuts if something happens, and they've taken people's deductibles from 20,000 to 50,000. Hi, do you want us to fix this leak in your apartment? Go ahead and pay the $50,000 deductible.
Yeah, basically, go ahead. We're not paying for it. That's basically what you're saying.
And you know what? You get some Mexican down in Miami. Hey, man, I got a leak in my house. They say, they go, yeah, let me look at this. Yeah, give me $20 and a case of beer. I'll fix it for you. You know. So it's different. It's different. It's Canada is like we're getting hooped so bad. So is Australia and New Zealand and the UK. So the whole Commonwealth.
Oh yeah, if anything, you look at Australia. Australia's probably Australia and New Zealand both are in worse shape than Canada right now, to be honest.
Well, because New Zealand is only sitting on a population of 5 million or something. So
exactly, yeah,
they're having a really tough time to put. It's turned into a nation of renters, and the amount of people sleeping rough in New Zealand is really, really scary. And what else? Australia. I got some articles from Australia that are very intriguing. I'm going to get to in a few minutes here. Very intriguing articles on what's happening down under. But yeah. Any last words?
Not much else to add. I would just say that if someone new here who's watching this, I do have 2 videos up about. I made my shock prediction on Toronto rents. I'll let you watch the video. If you've already watched it, you know where I stand on this.
Right here. My shock call on Toronto rents for 2020.
Yeah, and then there's a follow-up after that with some of the criticism from the previous video. And
follow-up to my shock Toronto rent call.
No, yeah, that's right. Yep. Do go ahead and watch those 2 videos. I do break it down pretty in-depth as to what's going to happen there. Mm-hmm. And
let me
put
a link
in the video and watch Toronto condos next year.
Okay, so your guide to understanding what's going on is to watch the Toronto condos, and I will keep an eye on that, and we'll have you on the show again whenever you can.
Also, yes, the Toronto condos, and also watch the unemployment picture also, because if unemployment keeps spiking, there's no way nationally we can survive this.
Oh, we'll just create a bunch of public sector jobs.
Yeah, there you go. How is it working out right now?
It's not looking good right now. So they're gonna have to. Somebody's gonna have to make up with more. They should open some more Department of Motor Vehicles across Canada and employ 50,000 people.
I know. And declining car sales when they hit the book, well, you're gonna bring in a little. That's not gonna work out very quite well, also.
No, it won't. It won't. All right, Evan. Thanks for the heads up and the what to look forward to in the next quarter. Thank you so much, Evan, from the Macronicler. Hearing from the Macronical, sorry. And I left a link in there 3 times. I'll leave you guys another link. Please go over to his channel and subscribe and watch the 2 channels that he recommended. My Shock on Toronto Rents 2020 and follow up to My Shock on Toronto Rent Call. All right, Evan. Thank you so much, brother.
No problem, Mike. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye.